Hi, I'm Eric Siegel with ericstrains.com, and welcome to episode 27 of my video train blog series. It's late October 2012, and it's about 2 weeks until the open house for my layout. The open house is part of a larger tour of Atlanta area layouts called the Piedmont Pilgrimage. The Piedmont Pilgrimage is held every fall. It is free and it is open to the public. My open house is on Saturday, November 10th from 1 to 5 p.m. So if you're going to be in the Atlanta area on that weekend, feel free to stop by and see the layout. For more information, check out the Piedmont Pilgrimage website at www.piedmontpilgrimage.com. This will be the 4th year that I'm on the Piedmont Pilgrimage, and every year there's a great deal of work and preparation needed to get the layout ready for people to see it. And so in this episode, I thought I would share with you the steps that I take to get the layout ready for the open house. Although I do work on the layout throughout the year, typically the 1 or 2 months before the open house see the most visible change on the layout of the entire year. In fact, those couple months leading up to the open house probably see more change to the layout than the rest of the year combined. And the reason that I do this is because I get a lot of repeat visitors to the layout each year. And so when someone comes this year in 2012 who was also here in 2011, I want them to be able to look at the layout and say, hey, you've done a lot of work in the last year. That looks really nice. And so that's why I start the mad rush a couple of months before the open house. I start that final push to get as much done on the layout before people start showing up. So with the mad rush on, I've been doing a lot of work on the layout lately. I'm not going to show you that work right now because I'm going to do a full layout update video right after this blog episode, and that'll be out before November 10th. So just keep an eye out for that. In that video, I will show you everything I've done in the last year. After the mad rush, the next step is cleaning up the layout. Generally about 1 or 2 weeks before the open house, I will stop all work and start cleaning up the layout. And this involves 2 steps. Step 1 is cleaning the layout room and the layout itself, and then step 2 is cleaning the track on the layout. Working on a layout is very messy, and so most of the year, the layout room and the layout itself are a complete mess. There's tools and trash everywhere, boxes and all sorts of stuff all over the place. So I start by organizing the layout room, putting away all the boxes and tools and so forth. And then I vacuum the floor. I then take a steam cleaner after any stubborn stains. And then I also wash the skirts that are on the sides of the layout. After that, it's time to clean the layout itself. Now, I have 5 cats in my house, so to say that cat hair on the layout is a problem is a massive understatement. It takes a lot of cleaning to keep the layout in good working order. And believe it or not, the best way to clean the layout that I know of is to use a vacuum cleaner. I use a combination of a dustbuster and a full-size vacuum with a hose attachment to just go across the entire layout and suck up any dirt and debris and cat hair and anything else that may have accumulated on the layout over the last year. Once I've cleaned up the layout room and the layout, it's time to get the track nice and clean. To clean my track, I use this little guy. This is called the CMX Clean Machine, and it's a track cleaning car. It's a little expensive, it's about $260, but in my opinion, this is hands down the best track cleaning car on the market. All I do is load the reservoir with my cleaning fluid, which in my case, I like to use acetone, but hey, if you're going to use acetone, be very careful because it's very flammable. But once I've got the cleaning fluid in there and I've got some clean pads on the bottom, I put it behind an engine and I run it around the layout 3 or 4 times and it gets the track nice and clean. And then for the track that is inaccessible to the cleaning car, like in the yard or on the turntable, I clean that by hand. Now, if you want more information on the CMX Clean Machine, I did a full review on this car a couple years ago. You can find that review on my YouTube channel. Once I've got everything cleaned up, the next step is to choose which trains I'm going to run for the open house. Now, again, because I've got people who come to the open house year after year, each year I try to switch the trains up so that when they come back, they don't see the exact same trains that they saw the year before. So the trains that I'm going to run this year in 2012 are different from the trains that I ran in 2011 and 2010 and so forth. And that way, repeat visitors always see something fresh and they rarely see the same thing twice. When it comes to selecting engines to run during the open house, I typically have an A selection and a B selection. The A selection of engines are the engines that I'm going to run when the open house starts. And then the B selection is a selection of engines that I have on standby, and I can switch those out if I just want to have some fun and switch it up during the open house, or if one of the A engines becomes disabled for some reason, I can just easily swap it out with one of the B engines. Now, when you have an open house, sometimes it may be tempting to run a brand new engine during the open house, but that's never a good idea, and in fact, the people that organize the Piedmont Pilgrimage strongly recommend against that, and the reason is because during an open house, your trains are running pretty much by themselves for 5 or 6 hours, and that is not the time to be testing a brand new engine that hasn't been broken in yet. You want to run something that's tested and proven and that you know is going to run well for hours on end. If you run your brand new engine, you're asking for trouble. And so for that reason, on my layout during the open house, I typically will not run any engine that has fewer than 10 or 15 hours of runtime. The same rule applies when you're deciding what rolling stock you want to use during the open house. You don't want to use some new set of passenger cars or some brand new freight cars that haven't been tested on the layout yet. You want to use stuff that you can depend on, stuff that you've had for a while, stuff that you know will operate well all day long. Once I've decided which trains I'm going to run for the open house, the next step is testing. What I'll do is on the weekend before the open house, I'll set up all the trains that I'm planning on running, and then I'll just let them run for 6 or 7 hours straight and see what happens. And if an engine fails or some cars come uncoupled, I'll fix the problem then, with the goal being to address the problems during testing instead of waiting for them to happen during the open house. Finally, after all that hard work and planning comes the open house, which is always a lot of fun. We had about 190 people show up last year. I'm hoping to break that record this year, so if you're in town on that weekend and you want to check out that layout, come on by. It'll be a lot of fun. Again, it's on November 10th from 1 to 5 p.m. For more information, check out the Piedmont Pilgrimage website at www.piedmontpilgrimage.com. Anyway, I've got to get back to working on the layout now, so I'll let you go. The next time you'll see the layout will be in layout update number 8, which will be up on YouTube probably 1 or 2 days before the open house on November 10th. So that's it for now. I'm Eric Siegel, and I'll see you next time.